Let me ask you something. How much of your family history do you actually know? I'm not talking about birthdays, anniversaries, not the family reunions, not the stories that everybody tells. I'm talking about the stories that nobody tells. The stories that never get discussed. The questions that never get answered. The truth that may have gone to the grave with somebody. Or the truths that might have been shared with you because an ancestor, a grandparent, entrusted you with this information, knowing that you would know exactly what to do with it when the right time came. Welcome back. I'm Law, author of Enunciate Your Needs. And tonight, we're going to talk about something that I think almost every family experiences. Silence. Family silence. Generational silence. Inherited silence. And not because families are evil. Let's get that out. Not because families are broken. Because families are human. Tonight, I want us to truly tap into that human space. I want us to do our best not to judge others and also not to judge ourselves as we are walking together with this conversation. Deal? Deal. Many of us laughed watching the amazing movie Encanto. You already have the song in your head, right? Especially that song, We Don't Talk About Bruno. And the reason why that song landed is because most families have a Bruno or more Brunos, but at least one, no? Some person, some event, some story, some truth, some question that everybody knows exists. So let me ask you, does your family have a Bruno? Don't name them. Just answer yes or no, or maybe, and drop it in the comments. I'm curious. I'll give you my answer now. Yes. C. Now, why do families hide things? Let's start there. The pink elephant in the room. Why do families hide things? Because I think people often assume silence means deception. Sometimes it does, don't get me wrong, but not always. Sometimes people stay silent simply because they're ashamed. Like again, we're going to be human tonight. Sometimes people stay silent because they are ashamed. Sometimes people stay silent because they're protecting someone. Sometimes people stay silent because they're protecting themselves. They don't know how to explain it, or they don't understand it themselves. So again, let's be human. Imagine experiencing something, witnessing something at a young age, whatever age, but imagine at a young age witnessing something that is completely the opposite of what you've ever seen, was shown, taught, etc. And you are the only person that you know of that has witnessed such a sight. And now you have choices, including, am I going to tell someone? Are they going to believe me? What am I going to tell them? What did I just witness? Again, think about it from the human side. Now let's continue thinking on that human side. Every elder in your family was once a child, then a teenager, confused, scared, learning, just like us. We often forget that. One thing I've realized is that every time an elder passes away, an entire library can disappear. Stories, lessons, mistakes, dreams, warnings, wisdom, gone. Some families pass down recipes. I know my grandma Mitchell is still holding on to her sweet potato pie recipe, although I think many of us have figured out what her secret ingredient is. One ingredient. Some families pass down wealth. Some families pass down trauma. And some families pass down silence. And silence is still a form of inheritance. And we're going to talk about that realm. Specifically, the genetic conversation. What families pass down genetically. I want to reframe that together officially. How many times have we heard it runs in the family? All right? Like diabetes, hypertension, it runs in the family. Maybe, sometimes. Absolutely. But sometimes what runs in the family isn't necessarily genetics. It's behavior, choices, eating habits, financial habits, communication habits. I remember when I first got married, my ex-wife, she would say all the time, "Why does your family always yell so much? They're always yelling at each other." And at first I was insulted. But then I had to realize this person is new to an environment that I have grown up in my entire life. So for me, the yelling was normal. The yelling was actually the normal tone that my family spoke at. But in her world, and understandably so, how could you all talk to each other in such a way? Communication habit, passed down. Relationship habits are passed down. Conflict habits, alcohol habits, smoking habits, sedentary habits. Check in with my audience. What's one habit you've noticed repeating through generations of your family? I'm curious. Drop it below. Now let's go deeper, because families don't just hide pain. Sometimes they actually hide their gifts, creativity, music, leadership, intuition, entrepreneurship, healing. And I'm going to pause there. I had an Aunt Virginia, my great aunt, who would tell some folks in the family of her superpowers, including her superpower to heal with her hands. The older she got, she really didn't care who heard and who judged her. She would share this with more folks. Some folks of my family mocked her, not to her face, but behind her back, while others, like myself, became more curious. Because in my mind, I too have that power, but did not feel comfortable to tell others. So at this young age, I'm hearing this woman, who at the time had to be in her 70s, maybe older, telling me that she has healing powers. I'm like, tell me more, Aunt Virginia. And she did. But we're going to discuss this later as to why, again, people keep secrets. Because who wants to be mocked? Who wants to be judged by their own family, let alone people who they don't know? Because often people are afraid of what they do not understand. And that fear can create many other reactions. And if you've lived or just experienced those reactions enough, you learn when to speak and when not to, when to share and when not to. So it's no wonder that some superpowers are kept secret from certain family members. What are some other things that are kept secret? Artistry and other spiritual gifts. Now, sometimes families don't understand what they see. And what they don't understand, they label. A family member can become the crazy one. Or a label that many people are familiar with. They can become the black sheep of the family. Now let's go there. Because many people listening have worn that label. I know I have. Sometimes the black sheep isn't the problem. Sometimes they're simply the first person that is willing to choose differently. The first person to leave, the first person to question, the first person to create, to heal, to explore, to break patterns. And families don't always know what to do with that. Because again, we're going to be human, right? We've heard that saying that humans are creatures of habits. Well, sometimes those habits are detrimental, like habits of eating that result in diabetes. Sometimes we are all aware of how detrimental those habits are, but will still judge somebody who chooses different because ... Oh, they think they're better. Oh, they're educated. Whatever the case may be, I'm sure we've all heard it. But that black sheep person does so much good for that family when they break those cycles and they break those patterns. I've had seasons where I felt like the black sheep, not because I hated my family, not because I rejected my family, but because I made choices that differed from tradition. And many of us know what that feels like. But salute to those who are strong enough to go with that feeling, knowing or not knowing what the outcome may be, but just knowing that you have to do this because it's just something burning inside of you. You're not alone. And cheers. Different is not always disrespectful. I want to say that again. Different is not always disrespectful. Now let's talk about something important. The desire to know the truth. Many people spend years trying to uncover family secrets, hidden stories, unanswered questions. And sometimes that's healthy. Sometimes it's necessary, for sure. But what I've learned, not every mystery gets solved, and not every truth arrives. Sometimes, and this is a hard lesson, sometimes healing must happen before understanding, not after, before. Because imagine this. Imagine you're broken, and you may be broken from something that happened generations before you. You may be broken from something that happened from your parent. And imagine that you're searching, you just feel like you have to know this truth. And then you learn this truth. But this truth, when it lands on your broken frame, desolates you to where there's no point of return. Was it worth it? And it's not that I should even ask that question. Can you now understand why sometimes healing has to happen before the understanding? Because once you're healed, you are in a better position to receive whatever it is and or was. And sometimes that is exactly why that truth has not landed yet. Universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is merciful, graceful, and knows exactly what we need. Also knows what we don't need. Why would God want to break you intentionally? Especially knowing that what you're asking for, you're not ready for. Let that land. Now, how do we talk to our elders and our family? Because again, conversations do need to be had, especially with the elders who are aging and are those libraries that can share much with us. How do we talk to elders? Well, if there are stories that you would like to know, approach with curiosity, not interrogation. I'm going to say that again. If there are stories that you would like to know, approach with curiosity, not interrogation. If you're approaching something with curiosity, you don't already assume the answer. When you approach something with curiosity, you have no idea what the answer could be. And you're not biased, you're not leaning in one direction. You are truly like, tell me, I would love to know ... And for those who know, enunciate your needs. In my book, I help give people language to ask and to enunciate their needs. So we're going to do so right now together. Something you can try when speaking with your elders. You can ask, can you tell me what life was like when you were my age? Stop talking. Let them answer. Another question you can ask them from curiosity. What challenges did you face? What do you wish our generation understood? What stories should never be forgotten? What is it that you would like me to know about you? And these are just some questions, but the point of these questions are to open the door, not to kick the door in, you're going to talk to me now, but to open that door. And when you come from a place of curiosity, people are more at ease because they do not feel threatened. They do not feel attacked. Because this is where communication matters. Because many families never have these conversations. And it's not because they can't, because nobody starts them. You can start today. And here's another lesson. Sometimes we become so focused on the family we don't understand that we neglect the family we do have. The people who are present, the people who show up, the people who love us imperfectly. Who's one family member you appreciate but haven't told recently? I encourage you to text them or call them now and drop a first name in the comments. The goal isn't to become obsessed with the past. The goal is to become conscious in the present. Because every generation receives something, and every generation passes something forward. The question is, what are you passing forward? Maybe you don't know every story, and maybe you never will. Maybe some truths left with people who are no longer here. But I still get to choose how you love, how we communicate, how you heal, how you raise your children, how you treat your family, how you carry your name. This isn't about judging previous generations. It's about understanding them. It's about learning from them. And it's about building upon what they gave us. For every family leaves something. Every family leaves an inheritance. Sometimes it's money. Sometimes it's wisdom. Sometimes it's silence. The question is, what will your generation leave behind? What's one lesson, story, or value that your family passed down to you that you're grateful for? Drop it below. Let's honor the good while learning from the rest. Peace.